Well, Niner fans, how are we doing? How are we feeling? It's Friday, and we got some news to talk about. I'm sure you guys have seen the news everywhere. It's unfortunate news, but it is what it is, and this is one of the reasons why of course, we have a lot of hope and you know um, hype surrounding the rookie draft class this year and last year and every year, but sometimes you just can't always bank on rookies because injuries happen, they become busts, et cetera, et cetera. And that 2022 draft class now, it is becoming pretty nasty. And we get another member that's pretty much another bust. If you haven't heard the news, today, 49ers former second round pick Drake Jackson, defensive end, he is being waived because of a failed physical. As you know, he's been trying to rehab from a torn patella. He's had surgery for the last couple of years, about 2 years. They waived him. He's going to become a free agent now, and I don't know if they'll pick him up, but at the same time, Adam Schefter reported that he's been dealing with this injury, and he likely will be cleared by the start of training camp. Again, he's still rehabbing the knee injury. It's unfortunate, and as you know, John Lynch, back in February, he talked about Drake Jackson, and he did say he indicated that he was struggling to get healthy from the knee injury. He missed all of last season with the patella tendon injury that he suffered in November of 2023. He played 23 games with 6 sacks in San Francisco. So, it's unfortunate. He never really lived up to the billing second-round pick. Unfortunately, he's a bust. I don't think the Niners are going to come and pick him back up, even if he gets cleared. He's done. His time in the Bay is pretty much done deal. And I talked about this with Larry the other night, and I said, you know what? He's probably done. I don't think he makes the roster because Drake Jackson did post on his Instagram story a few days ago. I don't know if you guys remember, but he posted it. He was hyped. He was like talking about the haters. Let's pull up the image. I have it here. Find it real quick. So Drake Jackson says, y'all crazy if you don't think I'm wrecking havoc on the field this year. Boomerang to all the haters. I got God on my side. See y'all suckers soon. He posted that a few days ago, and now today he's waived on a failed physical. So, maybe he was just trying to tell people ahead of time, like, hey, man, you guys don't believe in me. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And now he gone, and I'm sure somebody will sign him at some point. Rams, somebody's going to sign him. Maybe he could turn his career around. But a surgery to, repair a patellar tendon in his knee, it's a rough one. He's just been trying so hard to get healthy, and he unfortunately hasn't been able to. And, guy was a second-round pick. There was a lot of hype on him. And, this is one of the things that John Lynch mentioned earlier in the offseason, that, hey, he's having a hard time, coming back. And the fact that he wasn't able to come back last year, missed the whole year, it tells you just how bad this knee injury is. And unfortunate for the 49ers, they've had some draft picks that they thought they were going to have, a lot of stock into them, a lot of hype, a lot of production out of them. Kinlaw was another one. Solomon Thomas, those guys just couldn't put it up. They got injuries and et cetera, et cetera. And it just, ruined their time with the Niners. And now, Drake Jackson was the next one. And unfortunately for him, it just never took off the way he wanted. And I've met the guy. I've met his family. He's a great dude. He has a good family. There was a lot of hype surrounding him when he came out of USC, but he just couldn't get it together. And then the knee injury just really derailed his career. So it's unfortunate for the guy. I wish him nothing but the best, but he gone, unfortunately, for his sake. But hey, he's got, that mentality that he wants to prove people wrong, as he posted on his story the other day, right? Boomerang to the haters. And I'm going to wreak havoc on everybody. So when he comes back, wherever he goes, wherever he signs with, I'm sure that he's going to try to be motivated to play at his best. But that knee, again, is probably cooked at this point. But you never know. I mean, Niners had a lot of injuries. Maybe their strength and training department is not best. Maybe some other team is going to be able to fix him like the 49ers were. I mean, I hope he can play for a few years at least, but I don't know, man. It doesn't look promising. This was definitely a bad draft pick. Overall, he was, a guy that a lot of people were, saying, was it a reach? Should they have picked somebody else? Only 6 sacks. 3 of them came in a 2023 season opener, if you remember, against the Steelers. So 6 sacks, but 3 of those sacks came in one game. And then unfortunately later that year, he tore his patellar tendon, and he hasn't played since, right? So he was actually, according to Dave Lombardi, I'm seeing, He's the highest drafted 49ers between Nick Bosa and Mykel Williams this year. So between the time from Nick Bosa and Mykel Williams, he's the highest draft pick since then. Maybe defensive, because I think Ricky Pearsall was drafted higher than Drake Jackson, if I'm not too. I think so. Maybe he has that wrong, but that's what he says. But he did have only 6 sacks for his career, so very, very, very unfortunate for Drake Jackson. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let's take a look at some of the questions. Sucks for him, and I had him make the roster 5-string and defensive end position, said Steven Reynolds. I didn't have him making the roster. If you guys saw Larry Krueger on Tuesday, I said he's not making a 53-man roster. So I was right. I don't like to be right in those situations, but as a PT, I knew this was not a good injury. Joe Outlaw says Niners don't need injured reserve players. I agree. Don't bring him back. Don't want to have a stash and grab type player here. He's done as far as I'm concerned. MSQ says 2022 was one of our best drafts because we got our franchise quarterback. If it wasn't for Brock Purdy, that draft was absolutely abysmal. He saved that draft. If you look at this draft, look at this. You had Drake Jackson. You had Ty Davis-Price. You had Danny Gray. Okay, those 3 are all bust. They're not even with the team anymore. Spencer Burford, he's still on the team, but the jury's still out. I don't know. He might be a backup at this point. He's not a starter anymore. Sam Womack, he's on the Colts. That guy was amazing. They should never have got rid of him over Ambry Thomas. Nick Sikel, he's on the team because of Brock Purdy is his roommate. Kalia Davis. All right. Kalia Davis has been dealing with injuries his career. He could be on his way out next. Tariq Castro-Fields, he didn't even make the team that year, and then he went to Washington. And then Brock Purdy, the glorious king, Brock Purdy. That's the only guy that's worth a damn from that 2022 draft. But he is the franchise quarterback. So we have some roster moves that just went down. The 49ers have signed a couple players. Boom. We're going to post this up. Hold up. The 49ers have made some moves. Let's take a look. Oh, man, we got some live action going on. Dallas Flowers. The 49ers have signed some players here. Let me get this news up, and we'll talk about it. Ooh. Here we go. We got some moves that the 49ers just announced. We're going to post this up real quick. They signed cornerback, some offensive linemen, and they waived, obviously, Drake Jackson and a couple other players. Let me take a look at this, make this graphic so we can post it, and we'll talk about it here. Man, Niners staying busy. 49ers, they signed the following players: offensive line, Andre Dillard, Dallas Flowers, cornerback, and Nicholas Petit-Free. There we go. So there you go. Let's take a look at this real quick. Well, they signed their draft picks too. Oh, man, we got a lot of news to talk about. Hold up. The 49ers signed their draft picks. Jesus. They signed their draft picks, everything. They're going crazy, man. Right when we went live. Should have waited on this. All right, here we go. So we got the first update out. They waived Drake Jackson, Jalen McKenzie, Trey Tomlinson. They signed Dallas Flowers, Andre Dillard, and Nicholas Petit-Frere. Never heard of that guy, but there it is. We just signed Dillard. He used to be on the Colts, Philadelphia Eagles. So there you go. 49ers making some moves. Got rid of Drake Jackson. They made some moves. So there we go. We're going to post that up. And they also signed their rookie class as well. So here we go. Let's post that up. Boom. We got that. Good for the 49ers making their moves. They're not wasting any time, baby. So there it is. 49ers signed Dallas Flowers, or Dallas Flowers. I don't know how you want to pronounce this. Andre Dillard, Nicholas Petit-Frere, waived Drake Jackson, Jalen McKenzie, Trey Tomlinson. So there it is. And they signed their rookies as well. Good for them. 49ers staying busy. Look at that. They are staying busy. They actually signed, the 49ers signed all their free agents except Alfred Collins and Michael Williams. So there we go. Jordan James. So they signed Nick Martin, Upton Stout, Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, Marquise Seigel, Connor Colby, Junior Bergen. So they did not sign CJ West. They did not sign Alfred Collins and Michael Williams. So very good. Now you're making their moves, though. Wow. 49ers busy today. They are busy, busy, busy. 49ers are absolutely busy today. Well, good for them. Staying active, staying busy. Let's see. Yeah, they did it. 12 of their 17 rookies. So they signed 12 of their 17 rookies. They are making some moves. Niners are active. There we go. Post this one up. There it is. So the 49ers signed Andre Dillard, actually. That's not a bad move. Andre Dillard, offensive lineman. I think that's an underrated signing right there. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, Andre Dillard, offensive lineman, that's a pretty good move right there. So we'll see how this rest of this goes out. But so they signed Nick Martin, Upton Stout, Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, Marquise Seigel, Connor Colby, and Junior Bergeron. So we got most of their rookie signed. They added some depth. Offensive lineman, boom. There we go. So yeah, 4 more offensive line depth in San Francisco 49ers signed former Eagles and Titans offensive line Andre Dillard and former Titans offensive line Nicholas Petit-Frere to 1-year deals. That's pretty damn good, actually. Now that they got some offensive linemen, they got a cornerback, right? They added some depth there. 49ers made some good, decent signings here at the end of the day. Boom. So added some offensive line depth. Maybe they could come in, compete, and become starters. We'll see how it is. But they did get some veterans overall, and they got rid of Drake Jackson. What a busy, busy afternoon for the 49ers, huh? So that's it. Bang, bang. The Jackson highest defensive draft pick report is Kinlaw, not Michael, not Bosa to Michael. Yeah, I thought that was wrong. MSQ, I don't know why he said it was the highest draft pick. That was definitely inaccurate. I knew it was kind of wrong off there. So we just signed Dillard from Philly, says Tej Beats. Yup. So good stuff. They signed some offensive linemen. They signed some. They signed the rookies, man. So pretty good. 49ers have been cooking today. Get rid of Drake Jackson. You bring in some decent depth there. You signed your free agents, or your rookies. So good stuff. 49ers in a heck of a day so far. Good to see that. Hey, again, offensive line help. You can't hate on that. Good stuff. There it is. 49ers signed the following players to 1-year deals. Andre Dillard, Dallas Flowers, and Nicholas Petit-Frere. That was a big one right there. Jesus. We got some offensive line help, huh? Love to see it. Love to see it. If there's an offensive line to grab from Philly, yeah, if you're going to grab offensive lineman, you grab it from Philadelphia, see. Oh, you meant Jackson's the highest draft pick between Kinlaw and Michael. Yeah, it makes sense more than Bosa. But 49ers drafted Drake Jackson 4 spots ahead of Nick Bonito, who had 13.5 sacks for the Broncos. Yeah, I saw that too. That's depressing that the 49ers. Oh, my God, that's tough. Very, very tough that they were unable to harness that draft pick. Drake Jackson definitely an all-time bust, man. So very, very unfortunate. I had high hopes for Drake Jackson as well, man. I really did. That sucks, dude. Very, very much so. Very, very much so. Jackson wasn't even bad for the 49ers. He just wasn't healthy. Yeah, that's the thing. He wasn't healthy, 100%. 100%. I mean, and but that's the thing. You need to be healthy, right? You need to be healthy. So you got to be healthy to go out there and produce. So I like the guy. I thought he had talent. I think we were all excited for him. But the problem was, you're right. He just couldn't stay healthy at the end of the day. So it turned in to be a bust. It was a second-round pick. They had a lot of high hopes for him. And he was supposed to be like this big-time, next, guy to help Nick Bosa. He was supposed to be like Drake Jackson. If you really think about it, he was supposed to be Drake Jackson, man. Or not Drake Jackson, D Ford. He was supposed to be that D Ford type player. You know what I mean? Like, this was the guy everybody thought was going to be, oh my God, we got D Ford. And it just didn't go that way. So unfortunate for the 49ers that, they get another. But they've had a lot of defensive linemen that are busts, Honestly, it sucks. What are you going to do? They also signed their undrafted free agents. So they signed some undrafted free agents as well. Jacob Robinson, Drew Moss, Corey Kiner, Isaiah Nayer, and Sebastian Valdez. So the 49ers did sign some undrafted free agents to the roster already. So very good. Good to see the 49ers making some moves. They signed some free agents. They signed some draft picks. Busy day. They got rid of Drake Jackson. So I'm going to recap in just a minute once I post all this to all the pages here. So, 49ers, busy day. MSQ says, technically, Drake Jackson did end up becoming D Ford. Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, he did because of the injuries. But what I'm saying is he was supposed to be that D Ford type guy, come in and take the speed and be that second, wingman next to Nick Bosa. It just didn't work out the way. But at the same time, the 49ers did this. It happened. The same thing happened to Drake Jackson, and then it happened with D Ford. So yeah, right. Technically, he did become D Ford. So let's review. Here we go. Today, the 49ers waived Drake Jackson with a failed physical designation. That was the big breaking news of the day. And just now, the 49ers signed the following players to one-year deals. Cornerback Dallas Flowers, Andre Dillard from the Eagles. That was a big move, actually. And then Nicholas Petit-Frere, big time. 49ers bulked up on offensive line. They signed their following draft picks: Nick Martin, Upton Stout, Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, Marquise Seigel, Connor Colby, and Junior Burgon. And then they also signed the following undrafted free agents: Jacob Robinson, Corey Kiner, Drew Moss, Isaiah Nayer, and Sebastian Valdez. So the 49ers had a very, very, very busy afternoon. They signed most of their rookies. They added some depth in free agency, and boom, they cut Drake Jackson. So boom, there it is. 49ers had a busy day, and it is what it is. The 49ers, at the end of the day, added depth. I think that was huge to add the offensive linemen. Now they get some guys that could come in, compete. Everybody was crying during the draft that they needed offensive line help, and boom, here it is. You added some offensive line help, and I think everybody can be happy about that. And your rookies are off to a good start. There's literally no drama this offseason. I feel like it's been a perfect, drama-free free agency and offseason. It's been pretty damn good. So, I mean, MSQ says, I'm not going to call someone a bust based on their ability to stay healthy. I am. It's a medical bust. If you can't stay healthy, you weren't built for the league. It's unfortunate. A lot of players are busts because of injuries. And sometimes, that's the thing. Sometimes people have an injury history or they're injury prone. It's a part of the job is to scout players that can stay healthy. I mean, it's part of the job. You got to stay healthy. You got to keep your body in shape. And yeah, sometimes injuries happen. It's unfortunate, but if you can't stay healthy, if you can't stay on the field, unfortunately, you're a bust. You were drafted that high. You know, it sucks, but it's true. It's, to me, you could be a bust if you were having injuries. You're a medical bust, unfortunate. And, you know, there's been a lot of players. Jalen Hurd, right? That was a guy, everybody thought he was going to be this unbelievable player. He's a bust, man. You know, he couldn't stay healthy. It sucks. It sucks. But, you know, there's players that they got hurt early on in their career and they figured it out and they turn it around in all sports. But I think if you can't stay healthy, it sucks, but you are technically a bust in my eyes. But it's like saying Willis and Megatron aren't Hall of Fame since they retired early. No, not at all. They played a Hall of Fame career. Through their career that they played, they absolutely left no shadow of a doubt that they were, you know, Hall of Famers. They retired early. They wanted to preserve their bodies. They had some nagging injuries at the end. They could have still played, but they didn't think they could play at the level that they wanted to play. And, you know, that they still would have been good. They wouldn't have been probably elite players, and they didn't want that in their career. And they played 8, 9 amazing seasons in their career, and they were Hall of Famers at the time, at the caliber they played. So I don't think that's the same thing. So, but yeah, Steven Reynolds says Shamar Stewart is holding out from Bengals until he gets signed a rookie contract. Yeah, I'm glad the Niners didn't draft Stewart after that. I saw that. Can you imagine we would have signed Shamar Stewart? We would have had drama. He wants to be signed before he steps on the field. You're a rookie, bro. What do you remember when Michael Crabtree? He didn't want to play for the Niners until he got his contract. That was a whole situation and a half. So Niners have no drama. I love it. Again, Niners added some depth. They got rid of Drake Jackson, who unfortunately just couldn't stay healthy. And you added some offensive line depth. That's a huge dub today. You sign your rookies. Great day. 49ers, W in the books. Happy Friday. Hopefully the Warriors can bounce back tomorrow. I'll talk to you later. Go Niners.